Okay. Recording.
Awesome. Welcome to our team call. It is week 4 of the Health Set Challenge, and hopefully everybody is still going strong. I know our team challenge group is rocking it. There's so many people in there who are killing it. And Amber, I'm such a douche because I didn't realize that Jesse had added plays. Otherwise, your dude could have totally been added, and I feel like a douche, but that's okay. I will have the team calendar out by Friday, by the end of the month. So we're rolling up on the end of the month here, and I know I'm finally starting to I'm finally hitting Success Club. So goes to show that following up is humongous. I got 6 Success Club points today, so it's still possible. All I did was follow up with them while I was sitting in my car picking up Liam. And there we go. It happened. So I even made a list of more people to contact. I made a new list. It's so important to always refresh your list and to make sure that you're making new contacts with people. If you missed last week's call, Alita Steele was on our call, and she talked a lot about systems and creating duplicatable systems, which I did some of that prior to most of you joining, and we have a really good drive with a lot of those systems in there. So if you catch that, please do, and if you have any questions, please let me know. But this week, I am so thrilled to have my favorite social media guru, Michael McBride. I know a lot of you guys struggle with what to post, when to post, where to post, how to post, what to say. Should I do it on Instagram? Should I share it from Instagram to Facebook? What time do I post? I have no idea. So I know a lot of us are really struggling with that. And not to mention, Facebook likes to play Jedi mind tricks on a lot of people all the time. And their algorithms are changing constantly. And Michael can kind of explain what algorithms and things like that are. They're like patterns and things like that. And he's going to kind of give us like best practices and tips. And then after that, we're going to open it up for a Q&A. So if you guys think of any questions during this next 20 minutes or so, please write it down so we can ask him later. And I think I will mute myself and let Michael take over.
Super. Thank you so much for having me on the call. And it's great to see some of you again. I saw many of you just a few months ago when we had our dinner together. And I'm glad that Ruthie said that you can go ahead and write down some questions, because I definitely want this to be interactive. And you can actually either write them down in a notebook, or you can just put them in the chat box and I can go read them there. Sometimes I like to field questions actually in the moment when the topic is fresh, and maybe there can be a little back and forth. And then, sometimes there can be, questions that are best at the end. So social media has been it's been a huge blessing in my life. It has completely changed my life. And I remember even just yesterday, I was talking to a brand new coach who was kind of she's just getting off the ground, and she just hit Success Club in the first few weeks. So I'm super excited for her. She was talking to somebody about their social media, and they said, I don't know if I can be a coach because I just don't know that many people on social media. And I told her that actually 95, maybe higher, 95% of the people that I have been working with in my time as a coach, I have met after I became a coach. So personally, I didn't, go back to those high school friends and try to reconnect with them and say hey, what are you doing? Can I sell you something? Honestly, I was kind of afraid to, because I didn't want to come across like I was trying to take advantage of them or manipulate them, because actually just a few months before, one of them did that to me. He got in another business, and I was super excited to hear from him. And then probably within about 2 or 3 back and forths of our conversation, he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's what this is about." And it felt really, really crappy. So I feel like that is something that I was afraid of doing and I really ran from. And I guess in place of that, really focused on how do I build relationships that are around me right now, reach out to new people, delve into myself and learn how to share my own story so that just the people who are naturally resonating along the same wavelength as I am are drawn magnetically to me. And I did a lot of that through some personal development. I have some books that I highly recommend. And then I'm going to show you a journaling practice that I've been using that basically is taking the place of my branding training. And then also just making sure that you put in the time and be consistent and know that there's a time of planting the seeds and then a long period of waiting where you see nothing. And then you think that everything is dead, and then all of a sudden things start to germinate and you see little seedlings come through the soil so that there's that little spark of hope. And then you have to tend those little seedlings and nurture them so that they can start to grow and gather their own strength. So it's a long process. But when you look back at the process, it feels like it happened faster than when you look forward in the process. So that's kind of an overview of what I'd like to share. I know, Ruthie, you, first of all, before I get into the rest of the topic, I hope all of you know how lucky you are to be on Ruthie's team. I love Ruthie so dearly. She is one of the most amazing people. Ruthie, you can cut it off if you want, but I just want to really let you know, if you haven't thrown all of your attention into learning what Ruthie has done for herself, so that you can gather those pieces of information and apply it to your life, make sure you do that, because you've got a huge resource in being there. And she is more than willing to make herself available. So a few kind of basics with social media. In fact, I feel like I'd like to know a little bit more from you to know how far back into basics should we go, or how advanced. Is there anybody here, you can unmute yourself, who you would describe yourself as a social media newbie, where you're I'm kind of scattered, I'm not sure what I'm doing, I'm not gaining much traction, I feel like I have good stuff to say, but nobody's liking my posts. Is anybody here in that situation? You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself. Ish, yeah, okay, I see 1.5 hands. And then how many of you feel like you're kind of hitting your stride, you've got some momentum, you're getting some traction, people are starting to seek you out to ask what you're doing? Is there anybody who's in that situation? Okay, great. And is there anybody who is I don't know why Michael McBride is teaching this social media class, I think I should be the one? Great, all right. So, eventually with social media, we want to get to a place where people know, like, and trust us. If you can keep in mind those 3 words, to know you, to like you, and to trust you, that's what is some of the power of social media. And we want to get into a place where you have created such a sense of magnetism and mystery and curiosity in what you're doing, so that people just feel compelled to reach out to you, so that they're asking, what is this? What are you doing? You look amazing. You seem so happy. That was so cool that you went on the vacation, or you just seem really centered, or you're just really grateful. There's something about you that I'm really attracted to. that's the place where you want to shoot for. And all of that is done with personal development. So if you feel like you're loving your personal development and every day it's like epiphany after epiphany, then you're in the right place and you're studying the right subject and you're in a right frame of mind. But if you ever feel like, personal development is such a buzzword and yeah, I know that's the answer, but I'm not quite sure like if it's something that I'm into. Trust me, I felt that way for many, many years before I really understood that I had to tailor personal development to myself, not just kind of take whatever book everybody else was reading. Make sure that you figure that out for yourself or reach out for help. Because if you're doing it right, then you'll feel energized and you'll have so many ideas and content. You'll be a really loving person. And when you have conversations with other people, you won't make it about yourself. I feel like that's like the key. Like if you know that you're in a good place with yourself, you don't need to talk about yourself a lot, like in conversations. You're curious about other people and you ask them questions and you probably do maybe 10% of the talking within a conversation. If you're doing a lot more talking, then it's about you and you're probably trying to sell something and they're probably looking for an exit. Okay, great. So now that we know kind of where people are, times of day to post, in general, it's basically you want to post when other people are on. When other people who are in your circle are on. There are ways of looking at actual statistics. If you run a Facebook like page, then if you look in the insights, it'll actually show you when the majority of your followers are on. If you are posting on Instagram, there is a service called Icona Square that I recommend, and that will show you your analytics of when is the best time to post. But in general, it's kind of like if you are trying to reach out to people who are like you, they probably have similar schedules to you. So when you're on, they're on, rather than trying to stress yourself with like always being on social media. In general, breakfast, lunch, and dinner or post-dinner time, those are like your golden times. I try to stay away from Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings. All my friends are still in bed or trying to get out to brunch. So those are not the times when I post my best stuff. So that's as for times of day. Ruthie also asked about different platforms for social media. There are a million platforms. Is there anybody here who feels overwhelmed ever? Like raise your hand if you ever feel overwhelmed by all the different platforms. So many platforms. Okay, who is on Facebook? Raise your hand. Who is on Instagram? Raise your hand. Who is on Snapchat? Raise your hand. Who is on Pinterest? Raise your hand. Who is on YouTube? Raise your hand. Who is on Tumblr? Any Tumblr? Yeah, a couple people on Tumblr. Yeah. I take my advice from Chalene Johnson when it comes to working multiple platforms. She does not advocate having to be super active on every platform. She advocates being really good at one or maybe two platforms and focus your attention so that you can do it really well. So if you feel like you could probably up your Facebook game, fine, go ahead and do that. If you are looking for a secondary platform to, if you ever feel like you're having difficulty reaching out to new people, finding new people who are like you or who are potential people that you may want to work with, that's the symbol or that's the signal when it's okay to kind of look into a new platform. For me, Facebook is of course where I started, and I have a like page. I'm getting a little bit more active, but I'm much more active on my personal page. If you have questions about that, we can talk about that as well. I'm pretty much at my max friends for Facebook, and then I've got a little over 5,000 followers as well. So it's like 10 grand on Facebook. Over on Instagram, I just broke 20 grand last week. So that's kind of rolling along, and I've been getting the majority of my people, of my new connections over on Instagram. And then I'm also active on Snapchat as well. So I found that Snapchat has been one of the most powerful platforms for just having conversation that is like just super chill, very informal. People's defenses are down. It doesn't have to be anything serious. And those are the kinds of conversations that I found to be a lot more fruitful in developing relationships where we both feel connected and we both feel safe. So as for strategy for Facebook and Instagram and Tumblr and all of this, I think the most important thing to do, first of all, is to know really who you are and to be brave enough to share little bits of who you are. And I'm going to show you a process that I work through to work on that as far as branding. It's a little different from what most people do. But I do think that it really starts with delving into yourself and learning what you love, learning your stories, and being able to share those little bits of story. It really works on any platform. Yes, Instagram is a lot more visual than other platforms just because that's the only way to make a post. However, all the other platforms are very visual as well. So unless there are any other questions about what I've said so far, can I show you my little twist on how I do my branding? Yes, good, and saying nods, smiles. Any questions so far about those basics? Did I answer all your burning questions? Okay, all right. Most people, when it comes to branding, do this avatar exercise, and they do this same and difference list. Is there anybody who's done avatar work and same and difference list? Yeah, and I've done that several times, and it's really, really helpful. If you've not done it, then it's a great thing to do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, ask Ruthie about it. Essentially, when it comes to branding, whether you know it or not, you have a brand. Like, everybody has a brand. The difference, if you're doing this kind of branding work, is whether you are going to intentionally craft that brand and be aware of the brand that you have. But everybody has a brand. So all this branding work is really about self-awareness. And I kind of stumbled into the back door of a different way to do a branding exercise, and that really comes through a form of gratitude journaling that I started about a year ago. That starts with gratitude and then expands it as well. It's called great journaling. Is there anybody here who's already seen my presentation on great journaling? Yeah, just one or two. So essentially, I'll run through it really quickly, and then I'll give you a link to where I have a little bit more expanded video about it. But essentially, I was going through a period in my business about a year ago where it was crappy. It was like I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling like I would get to the end of my day breathless. I was working so hard, and when my husband came home from work and he asked me what I did with my day, I would have no clue what I did. Like, does anybody ever feel like that, where you're just running, and then you're like, wait, what just happened? Did I just go on blackout for the entire day? And I was honestly kind of feeling like an empty shell. And at the time, I was reading some personal development that was talking about the power of gratitude. And that was like the final kick in the butt that kind of made me sit down and say, okay, let's figure this out. So I went to Target and bought a little moleskin notebook like this. It's very portable, and it has some lines in here. And after about a week, I stumbled upon an acronym. I love acronyms that helped me to organize my gratitude journal. So the acronym is GREAT, G-R-E-A-T. G stands for grateful. R stands for relieved. E stands for excited. A stands for attracted. And T stands for totally loving. It could be just loving, but then that would spell grail, and that's awkward. So great. And essentially what I do is I like to do mine in the morning, where I'll sit down and just bullet point whatever comes to mind in any of those 5 categories. I'm not super rigid about having to fill out every category. Sometimes there's a lot of things that I'm more excited for, and I might miss out on a category. It's really just kind of whatever I'm present to at the moment. And it really has shifted my focus in a lot of different ways. Number one, personally, I feel a lot more present, and I'm able to be with people much more effectively, which of course helps in conversations when you're actually with somebody and you're listening, not just waiting to respond. And it's helped me with this question. Does anybody get the question from time to time, how's your business going? And what's your first thought? Probably for many people, and mine was, and like every time I go to Summit, of course, we're all asking each other, how's your business going? Usually the answer goes something like this. Well, it's pretty good, but I'm like so frustrated with this, and like I really wanted to hit this mark, but I didn't make it, and I can't get so-and-so to work. None of my coaches are interested. Like we go through this list of how things are not great. Is there anybody else who did this? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm not the only one. And as soon as I started this gratitude journal, I started to think about that answer. I started to think, like, that answer is not really empowering. It doesn't really do anything for me. And I can just as easily account for the things that are happening in my life, in my business, that are going really well, that I'm grateful for. And so it doesn't negate that things can get better, but it completely shifts our perspective, so that when somebody asks me, how's your business going? And Enrique just asked me that today. I can come back with an answer that's something like, you know what, I'm just super grateful. I'm really, really grateful that, even if I never made a cent in this business, I have a rockin' awesome body. That's pretty sweet. I'm so grateful for the new relationships that I've discovered with the people that I'm working with. Like, it's uncanny that there are these people who are just so driven and motivated and positive. Like, where else is there an environment like that? Like, there's a million things that you can focus on that are great, that are wonderful, that are happening in your life. Those are things that can not only shift our focus when we're talking to other coaches, but these are things that we can post about on social media. So here's the social media connection. You can literally go through your list of what you're grateful for, relieved about, excited about, attracted to, and totally loving, and you can transform any of those bullet points into a post. And let me tell you, it is so powerful because it is connected to your heart. It is connected to your emotions. And when you're posting from your heart, it speaks to the heart of the people who encounter that post. It's so much more effective. For example, instead of saying something like, let's see, I really like my vegan chocolate Shakeology. And you have a picture of yourself with like the Shakeology mug. It has changed my life. Okay, right? Our Vanna post, which I'm sure Ruthie tells you not to do. It's so different to say something like, I used to just drag about 2 p.m., like right after lunch. Does anybody else have the lunchtime naps? And like, I know that was something that I really struggled with. I'm really excited that ever since I've been drinking this superfood smoothie and filling my body with good nutrition, that I actually have energy. So like, that's a whole different way to post about Shakeology. And you can, it is always crafted through the lens of who you are. And I do want to address one of the letters in the acronym a little bit more deeply, and then I'll open it up to questions from you. And that is the A, the attracted. That's one of the letters that I think a lot of people kind of like turn their heads sideways and do like their little puppy dog ears. What is this? Would you want me to just talk about, you know, hot people, hot men? You want me to just post like muscle selfies of fitness? So let's expand that. So when we talk about what are you attracted to, it is that feeling of being drawn to someone in general, a particular quality that you see exhibited in another person or event. Attracted to an idea, attracted to an ideal, attracted to things like justice, attracted to things like curiosity, attracted to having coffee out on your balcony with the sun. Like, it is whatever you feel, that sense of just being drawn to something or someone. And so you can post it, or you can write a lot of different kinds of things. And here is the cool little flip that is like the super secret for social media. If it's the case that you want to draw people to you that are similar to you, that probably have a similar profile of what their greats would be, if you are really aware of what you're attracted to and you put that out there and weave them into your social media posts, you are going to create posts that resonate with other people who are also attracted to those very same things. And like attracts like in this case, and that will help people to be magnetically drawn toward you. And so the more you are actually putting that out there and also embodying the aspect that you are attracted to, the right people will be beginning to be attracted to you. So for example, it's very theoretical, but if we say something like, I'm attracted to people who are genuine listeners. Like, I love having conversations with other people who just, like, they let me talk and they ask really good questions, and, you know, they'll give a little bit of themselves as well and relate like that. Like, I'm drawn to people who are just really great listeners and conversationalists. Oh, well, maybe I can be that. And then the people who are attracted to those things as well will be drawn to me. So that's how that attraction piece works. Yeah, so that's basically it. It's a really different way to brand yourself because you're actually getting to know yourself and what you're attracted to and excited about and totally loving and relieved about and grateful for. And as you put that out there, then other people who are also operating on that same wavelength can be drawn to you. So that is it. Let's open it up for a time of questions. You are welcome to type them in the chat box. You can unmute yourself as well, and we can go from there. And I see our Zoom chat is counting down from 6 minutes. Good. So Kara asks, is a like page necessary? I see a lot of coaches who have like pages, but they don't seem to get a lot of traffic. Okay, so a like page is not necessary for everyone. I don't believe so. If you, on your personal page, are posting in a certain way, then I think you can get a lot of traction on your personal page. But then as you start maxing out, as I have, that's when motion to a like page can be very beneficial, since there isn't the max and you get all of the insights and analytics that a like page has. The certain way that I would recommend that you post on your personal page that would kind of help you to stay organic would be to really be posting about your own personal life experience with what you're doing with the business. What are you learning? How are you growing? What results are you seeing? And it's really through your own personal lens. The moment you start overtly selling and kind of doing product placements, like we all laughed about before, that's when your account may be flagged as a business, which is against the policies of Facebook. So there are lots of reasons not to be salesy on Facebook. Number one, they'll shut you down, and number two, people just don't like it. But the second part, as for a lot of traffic on like pages work very differently from profiles in that, yes, they don't get a lot of organic traffic. You can boost posts, and that's a whole other issue. But the huge value in that is for advertisements, Facebook advertisements, which is, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, probably the most leveraged kind of advertisement that is out there, like in the universe. And so you can do these targeted ads, which will get people interested in seeing a particular post or your page in general, or you can bring them to a lead page where you can develop a relationship with them through an email sequence. So it's like a whole different social media platform. It's kind of unfair to compare it to a personal. Ruthie asked, Mandy, did you ask why your music got blocked on your videos? Yeah, Facebook is becoming ruthless with copyright infringement on videos, and it's really fast. So if you have a copyrighted song in the background, it's very likely that Facebook will either mute the audio or completely pull down the video.
And they'll block you for 24 hours or so?
That's what happened to me.
Did it? I'm not surprised. Facebook's like the Wild West. They're the judge and jury, and they can do whatever they want.
I had a question or two. Hi, baby. One, Amanda is on the call. She's one of my coaches and one of my friends on Facebook. She follows me, and she was noticing that she didn't see my posts for like 4 days or something, or for like 2 days or something. And then all of a sudden she saw like 4 in a row. Do you know why that would be?
That goes back to the algorithm that you mentioned. They're always changing. So, the algorithm is Facebook is trying to figure out what are the posts that you'll be most likely to be interested in, and they base that on the posts that you engage with the most and the people. Also, the people that you're messaging back and forth with, that plays into it as well. And so that's probably what it is. If there's somebody that you never want to miss a post from, you can go to their page and select see first, and it'll always pop at the top.
So if you don't want to miss any of my posts, no, I'm just kidding. But that would make sense though, Amanda, because we hadn't chatted on Facebook Messenger for a while.
Yeah.
Also, I had a question because today I made a post on Instagram. That's a different platform, but I made a post on Instagram. Actually, I made it last night, and then I got tons of comments, and I was going back and tagging everybody and then commenting. And then I got, and then this morning I made a post, and I went to copy my hashtags and put it in my comments section, and Instagram said, you're blocked from this feature. You've been abusing it. I'm like, what? From commenting? Maybe because I put my hashtags as a comment. So I reported it as an error because I'm like, I'm not, Does that sound like a weird
I've
thing?
never run into that personally. I'm not surprised. Facebook owns Instagram, so they're starting to apply a lot more of the Facebook rules over to Instagram, which I'm not thrilled about. But like they just changed to an algorithm and to the chronological news feed. So that's a big change. I'm not sure exactly what the problem was, but I think that's probably they're kind of starting to move people in the same direction as Facebook.
That's silly.
Yeah. That's why it's really good to do new platforms because they don't police them.
Right. I like Facebook as a diary and Instagram